Hi folks, welcome back to our series on a Psalms a day for the first part of 2023. It'll probably last the majority of the year, but we're going to try to do a Psalms a day. I'm going to see how far through the year I can actually do sticking to it. So we're on Psalms 2 this time, and this is from David, who written it. It starts out, "Why do the heathen rage, and the people murmur in vain? The kings of the earth band themselves, and the princes are assembled together against the Lord and against his Christ. Let us break their bands and cast their cords from us. But he that dwelleth in heaven shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in Derision." Derision? You know what? Sometimes these words get me a little bit. "Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure, saying, Even I have set my king upon Zion, mine holy mountain. I will declare the decree, that is, the Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the ends of the earth from thy possession. Thou shalt crush them with the scepter of iron, and break them in pieces like the potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, ye kings. Be learned, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord in fear, and rejoice in trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish in the way, when his wrath shall suddenly burn. Blessed are all that trust in him." That is Psalm 2. I love the Psalms because they are like beautiful poetry. But so many of them have layers of meaning behind them. They have so much meaning. Some days you can read a Psalms and it hits you a different way than if you read it 2 or 3 weeks prior. It depends on the situation that you are in, what you're currently dealing with. Sometimes a Psalms, reading one of the Psalms can just really change your attitude and change your state of thinking on the world. This one right here, where it's talking about the heathen rage and the people murmur. The conspiracy of the Gentiles, the murmuring of the Jews, and the power of the kings cannot prevail against Christ. You need to remember that no matter what is going on in this world, that God is still on the throne. It does not matter what kind of slander is being thrown, what kind of talk is being pushed in the media, anything. It does not matter. You got to remember at the end of the day that God is still on the throne, and he is still alive, and he is still active, and he is still moving, and he is still in control of absolutely everything. Okay? Nothing happens that God doesn't know about or God hasn't already known about. And you got to understand that the kings of this world, the rulers of this world, I don't care what religion they say they are, what denomination they say they are, anything. They are not for God. They are not. They are against God. They will always be against God, and they will always want to try to band together to make this resolution like Nimrod did. Okay? What did Nimrod try to do? Well, if you go back in Genesis and you read about Nimrod, all the way back to the time of Abraham, Nimrod tried to set up a city and tried to make himself as like a god. They wanted to reach to the heavens to make themselves like a god. And that is when we have the Tower of Babel, and when everybody had to speak different languages. Don't forget that this world is against God. But you need to align yourself with God. Do not be like them and try to band together against the Lord. No, try to set yourself apart and be for God, not against Him. You know, a lot of this one talks about Christ, points to Christ. And it's a great one to get your mind set on things above, heavenly things, and not things of this earth. Because like Romans 12:2, we need to have our minds constantly renewed with the Lord. And a psalm a day really does help with that, because I know a lot of people, y'all are really busy. You're working all the time just trying to make ends meet. You've got inflation going on around you like crazy. You've got this talks of food shortages. You've got talks of wars, rumors of wars, you know, different things like that. What it talks about in Matthew 24, you know, you see it. You see it. You're bombarded with it on a daily basis. And it's one of those that reading a psalm a day can really help you focus more on God. A lot of psalms are just praising Him, rejoicing in the tribulations, rejoicing in the trials, rejoicing when things are tough, when you're suffering, things like that. There is a lot of psalm that way. There's so many psalms that are that way. And David wrote majority of them. And, you know, it's just an excellent thing to get your mind focused on those things above and not focused on these things that you're constantly hearing around the world. You know, the Lord gave you the spirit, not of fear, but of power, of a sound mind. Okay, so you don't need to fear these things of this world, because you know God's still in control. God's still on the throne. It don't matter. He has His King to be set on Zion when the Lord Jesus comes back. So we don't have to worry about any of this stuff. And it says in verse 8, ask me and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance and the ends of the earth for thy possession. Do you ever ask God and keep asking and keep asking and keep asking and keep asking and keep praying and keep living righteously and keep living by Him? He can give you way more than what this world can give you. He will give you way, way, way more than this world can ever give you. Especially when you get to heaven. It's going to be way better than anything on this earth. So remember to serve the Lord in fear and rejoice in trembling. Rejoice, still rejoice, even in the suffering. Still rejoice, because you know what? It doesn't matter what goes on in this world. You still have God. And that is more than enough. He is sufficient. He does provide those needs. And that is more than this world can ever give us. Blessed are all that trust in Him. Keep that in your heart. Meditate on this word. And even read this again and write down the things that come to you. Pray about. Pray before you read it. Read it again and write down the things that the Lord reveals to you about this psalm. Until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope the Lord blesses you, keeps you, makes His face to shine upon you, and all things is gracious upon you. Until next time, God bless.